I asked my followers on Threads, what questions do you have for me about social media and marketing? And y'all delivered. So let's go ahead and dive straight into your questions. The first question is a few different questions. Which platform is most worth the energy? What mix of salesy versus valuable content is best? Have you worked with bookstagrammers? And how integral is your cover? So let's go ahead and go through each one of these. The first one is which platform is most worth the energy. For me, this has been a mix of TikTok and Instagram. These are my two platforms that I use primarily for my book marketing and the ones that I found the most sales. Now, even TikTok beats out Instagram when it comes to sales for me. And I find that people on TikTok are pretty quick buyers. So I really love the book community over there and have found a lot of success with sales on that particular platform. However, I always say if you absolutely hate a platform, if you have no interest in one, don't use it just for the sake of using it, because it's really hard to stay consistent and actually be passionate about the content you're putting out if you don't like the platform. I still think it's worth giving it a try and spending some time on it and see if you grow in how much you like a certain platform. But if you're finding something, it just isn't for you, it's okay to move on and try something else or stick with what you like. At this point, most social media platforms that are big are used by so many different genres and niches, and there's going to be people for you on that platform that you're already using. In terms of salesy versus valuable content, I try to make all of my content valuable, but that doesn't mean that it can't sell as well. So for me with poetry, it's a little bit different because I can showcase a page from my book and have it be free value for the reader, but they still want more, so they still want the full book. But what I recommend for any author, any creative selling your product, is to make engaging content that can still be about your product, but is relatable to your audience. So I actually have a free masterclass on the 3 different types of content that I recommend sharing on your social media to help you grow your audience and build sales. That's available on my website at marketingbyshelby.com/masterclass at the time of posting this episode. Can't guarantee if you're watching in the future if it will still be available. You can head to that link. I'll link it in the description as well if you'd like to check that one out. I haven't personally worked with bookstagrammers because there aren't that many that talk about poetry. If you are a fiction author, you will have probably a lot more success with reaching out to bookstagrammers or trying to build connections with them. But the key there is, like I just said, is building connections and following those accounts, engaging with them, checking out their website to see if they have guidelines first before you just slide into the DMs and ask them to post about your book. A connection can go a long way, so definitely try that first. And also, if someone's asking you to pay and if they've grown an audience and are charging for that, I am completely behind that and think that that's okay because they're content creators. They're putting in the effort to make it basically an ad for your book. But that being said, do make sure that they are getting good organic engagement. It doesn't look like they perhaps bought followers or bought likes or anything like that, because we don't want to get in front of an audience that isn't going to be worth the money. Finally, how integral is your cover? Covers are so important. I cannot stress enough how much they matter when it comes to the marketability of your book and your sales. With my first book, it was a homemade cover and I'm proud of it. I still haven't updated it and I don't know that I ever will at this point. But my future books where I invested in a professional cover with someone who knew what they were doing sold thousands more than that debut book of mine. So please make sure that you are spending the time creating a well-designed cover that is comparable to others in your niche or your genre. It doesn't need to be a copy. It shouldn't be a copy, but it should have some elements that your genre looks to, because readers do judge books by their cover. Okay, the next question is from an international author. So they had some questions about distribution, wanted to know where I'm from, if I'm selling to a national or international market, and digital media or print. So I'm here in the US. My books are available internationally, and most of my sales come from a mix of countries, with the US, Canada, the UK, Australia being some primary countries. However, I have a large audience on social media in Asian countries and things like that, where my books are also available on some platforms, but not as widely available. Whenever I self-published through Amazon KDP, you can make your books available in all of the different Amazon regions that are available instantly, which is really nice. The thing with traditional publishing, which my last few books have been, that I kind of see as one of the downsides of traditional publishing, and it depends on your publisher, is that my books aren't available right away everywhere. In some countries, I don't think they'll ever be available, which is kind of a bummer. So you do kind of get wider reach depending on what self-publishing platform that you use. Ingram Spark and Amazon KDP both have pretty wide distributions. And so with my latest book that just came out in the US and Canada, it's not out yet in certain countries like Australia and I think the UK. It comes out later in November. So that's something that I had to adjust for, and change in my strategy whenever I'm launching a new book is knowing that it's not available everywhere right away. The vast majority of my sales in poetry are print. However, a lot of fiction authors now are seeing that they're selling more ebooks and Kindle Unlimited reads than their physical copies. So I think it's really nice to offer both formats and even audiobook if you want to. So that way, as many people as possible can pick the format that works best for them. As someone commented, teach me your ways, everything and all things. So I directed them to some of the free resources like this YouTube channel where I post every single week, as well as on podcast platforms. And then I have some freebies on my website as well. And of course, I have some more hands-on support as well. So my club membership has over 300 incredible authors and creatives inside of it, where you can get my feedback on your social media, ask me anything, get a whole pack of templates every single month, plus marketing training built into that. So if you are interested in that, you can head to marketingbyshelby.com/club to enroll in the Creatives Content Club. And I would absolutely love to work with you in that community as well. Simon, who is one of the club members, actually posted a picture of his dogs and asked, do my dogs count as assistants? And my answer is yes, absolutely. All right. Next question is, that's amazing. Do your earnings come from KDP or do you sell your books directly? So I am now traditionally published, but previously my earnings did come solely from KDP. I'm not currently selling direct. However, that is something that I definitely want to pursue. Maybe 2025 will be my year of pursuing that. But for now, currently my royalties are through my publishers. Poetry, you have my attention. How did you manage to get your poetry to stand out versus all of the others? Social media marketing and being consistent for years and posting emotional, relatable content that I know will engage my readers and meet them during what they're currently going through, which is typically mental health struggles. I talk about anxiety and self-love and insecurities a lot. And so all of my content is primarily centered around those things to attract the readers who would be perfect for my book. Someone asked about they finished their first book but haven't published it yet. Can you guide me through the process? I primarily teach marketing, but I'm happy to walk through pretty quickly the self-publishing process and the traditional publishing process as well. So with self-publishing, you are going to select a platform that you want to self-publish through. There are a couple of big names. Amazon KDP is one of them. Ingram Spark is another one. There are a handful of others that are reputable. Please do your research first. There's also some that are available in some countries and not others. So that's another thing to note as well. You'll make your account. You'll choose or create your cover and pick your title. And both of those platforms that I mentioned are pretty streamlined in terms of like, here's where you put your cover. Here's where you upload your manuscript. Here's where you put the title. Here's where you put the description. So you kind of just walk through that step by step. And both of those platforms have templates for formatting where you can download a template and it will help you format it into the proper format for a book. Definitely Google what is the proper order for a book when it comes to the title page, the copyright page, all of those things. You'll learn a lot just by Googling and looking at all of the help articles that are available on Ingram Spark and KDP. And it takes time. You'll make some mistakes. You'll put in all of that information, and then there will be the option to publish it, and it will be distributed to all of the different platforms that they have available to you, Amazon, and then their other distributors as well. Obviously, this is a very simplified version of the process, but my point is it's a lot easier than a lot of people think. You think that it's really impossible or it takes a ton of work, but you can do it as one person. And I do recommend, getting an editor, hiring a professional cover artist if you have big goals with this book, you want to sell copies and find new readers and all of that. That's the basic version of the process, but start with those platforms, do some research, read the help articles. The next option is traditional publishing, and that is where you would get paid to publish with someone else. So I do not recommend paying a publisher. We always want the money to flow to the author. And so traditional publishing is where you get either an advance for them distributing your book and publishing your book, or you receive royalties once sales start coming in. And with that process, they take over the editing, they make the cover. You have a little less creative control, although the publishers that I've worked with have let me have creative, control and input, which I really appreciated. And then they distribute the book for you. With that, typically you'll need an agent where you research agents in your genre online, and then you query them, meaning that you submit a query letter telling them about you, about your book, why it's sellable, and all of that. And then if you get an agent, they help you then sell your book to a publisher and get you a publishing deal. So that's a little bit about how both processes work. This one's a little bit more poetry specific. So this person asked, how does one get a qualified opinion on their work and help you kind of decide on what direction you're going to take in your book? So this person has a wide range in form and structure of their poetry that a collection would be far too scattered. I'm lost when it comes to what's strong, what's weak, what's worth more attention. So it kind of depends on what your goals are. So if you're a poet looking to get published in like literary magazines and things like that, then I would start by submitting your work to those platforms, some of your strongest poems, and seeing what tends to land with them. However, for me, that's not really a goal of mine. My goal is reaching as many people with my poetry as possible. And I do that through social media marketing and sharing my poems and seeing what lands online. So after sharing my poems for years online, I've gotten feedback, I've gotten engagement, I've gotten to see what resonates most with my audience and been able to grow my audience that way. So I did not say, I wonder if my poetry is good enough. I need to find this magic person who's going to tell me whether or not I'm good enough. I went directly to the source, to the readers that I wanted to gather, and started sharing my work online and growing my audience that way. So I don't personally believe that poetry is gatekept or needs to be any certain form or anything like that. I listened to my audience and what they were looking for and wrote based off of what I was feeling. One more poetry specific question is, how do you plan a poetry book format and poem count wise? Is there a pattern one can loosely follow, or does everyone do what works for them? There are a lot of different ways that you can publish a poetry book. You can do a short chapbook that is very focused on one theme. You can do a longer full-length collection that might be a mix of different themes. It might have sections within it. So I think it's first up to you to decide how many poems you have. How many do you want to be published in this book? Do you see that you have like maybe 40 poems on one specific topic? And in that case, that might make a really good chapbook on that one topic. Or maybe you have 80 plus poems or pages on a variety of topics that you want to maybe organize into a way that tells a story. So it's really, there's a lot of creative freedom with it, but I do recommend that you try to find those overlap in themes and organize by theme or organize it in a way that tells a story. That's what I did with my first couple of books, where they kind of went like dark to light almost, with like heartbreak or mental health struggles, and then finding healing and hope and a little bit more positive poems toward the end. So it wasn't necessarily written in that way, but I organized my poems in that way. And I also have added sections into my books to make it a little bit easier on the reader to see distinct themes throughout my books. All right, that is all the questions that I'm going to answer today. Thank you to everyone who submitted a question. If you like being able to just like pick my brain, get your answers on marketing and social media, we do Q&As every single month in the Creatives Content Club, and we also have our private group where you can just submit a question to me at any time and I'll answer it. So a lot of members really like that access to me. And so that club is enrolling now, and this month I'm actually giving all of our members a free gift, a year of content, social media templates, when they join. Now, this is going to be a very limited time thing. Like if you are a member on the day that I decide to release this, you get it. And if you're not, you don't. So that's kind of how it's the free gift is working this month. So if you would like to join us when this video goes up, that free gift has not happened yet. So please join us if you would like that. And again, that's marketingbyshelby.com/club to enroll. All right, I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching and have a great rest of your day. Bye.